welcome back to my channel. My name is Trinity Sierra Bradley. If you don't already know, but I go by Trinity Sierra. If you're not already, make sure you subscribe to this channel so you do not miss anything coming. So, if you already clicked on this video, you already know that this is part 2 and how we got to start dating. I'm going to let my husband start right now.
Well, I think in the last video we talked about just how we met, and how we really weren't interested in each other. We weren't interested in anything besides friendship. And so once I had mentioned the whole big bro situation, did I say what the big bro situation was?
I don't think so. It's okay, we can reiterate.
Okay, so me and Trinity were talking, and I think I for sure mentioned all the messages that were going back and forth, and once she sent me her number, like, that didn't change really much. Like, we still were talking sporadically. Like, she would message me, it would be another 2 days or a couple days or a week, I would message back or whatever. Like, it wasn't really anything.
Yeah.
And then in the messages, though, she had mentioned something about she was like Indian or something like that, and I was like, oh, you're trying to be like your big bro. I said something like that.
Yeah, that is what happened.
And she was like, big bro, like, question mark. And I was like, yeah, like, and I just said that just to let her know, like, it was nothing else. Like, I'm not one of these guys out here trying to sneak in and try to be something. Like, nah, right. I'm strictly big bro. Like, I'm your big brother. Like, and so that kind of sparked some just more conversation. We just talked, and I think we started talking more and more as time went on. It was probably like a month of us not talking, like every other day. You know, I might just check in with her and be like, hey, what's up, little sis, what you doing? Like,
and I would say something in the same second he sent it, and he would not respond for 2 weeks.
She's been dramatic, but something like that. So we were going back and forth. She was living her life, I was living mine. When we did talk, it would be, you know, good like 6 messages where she would tell me about whatever's going on or something like that. And I think closer to the day of my gig, I was kind of like, hey, like, I think we started talking more up to that point, especially when it came to relationship stuff. And because we weren't worried about, like, impressing each other or trying to, like, you know, I want her to like me or I want her to whatever, like, it let us be honest and it let us be open with each other. So she would tell me, like, hey, you know, I'm talking to so-and-so, I'm talking to Mr. Potential, and I'm thinking something, he's, you know, God-fearing guy and all that stuff, and I bet dope. And she would say, but this, and, you know, we would kind of talk through some things and discuss, like, just her relationship stuff. I would say whatever, like, hey, I'm, you know, whatever.
He would discuss how he got shorty 1, 2, and 3 in different states, and how he talking to this one and that one, and how this one's buying him a whole bunch of stuff and going on a shopping spree.
You're guessing. But so
yeah,
we would talk about a lot of stuff, and closer to the gig, like, I think Trinity even FaceTimed me. I think it was one night, like, she just randomly FaceTimed me, like, randomly, like, out with her friends. FaceTime me randomly, and it was the first phone call, like, and the first phone call is like a big deal, like going from texting to phone calls, like, that's like a thing, like, everybody know what I'm talking about. And so she called me, and I was like, man, like, hello, like, and it was like a most awkward 20 minutes, 18 minutes ever, like,
and it was dumb awkward because when I call, I expect to see a face. As soon as he answered, I'm looking up at the ceiling. So when I'm literally like, okay, like, hello, and I'm thinking he answered like on accident because I'm not looking at him. But literally the boy talks with the hand, like his phone right here, and then his nose kind of peering right where the FaceTime camera is. And I'm sitting here like, is this how you hold the phone? He was like, I mean, yeah, like what's wrong with it?
First off, I thought she butt dialed me. And I didn't know what she was talking about. I didn't know she was calling. I didn't know nothing.
So then he's the creeper trying to hear the conversation on the other end.
Whatever. The point is that she randomly awkward FaceTimed me. But then that opened up some other FaceTime stuff. But she got off the phone at like 11 talking about, oh, I'm tired. I'm just so tired. Man, come on, man. I already know what that was about. And for y'all who don't, like, if a shorty calls you and it's a quick conversation, it's talking about 10:45, 11, and she's like, oh, I'm just so sleepy. Some girls are really going to sleep, but most girls, they're not. They're just gonna call somebody else or call
But
their
I'm
girl.
not most girls.
So you're not, but come on, we already knew what that was. Like we both knew what the situation was. So every time we had talked after that, especially like phone calls, I was on some 11 o'clock, 11:15. Yeah, hey, we can go ahead and get off the phone. Like I'm not trying to hold you up. Like I already knew what it was, so I was trying to give her the out, just to let her know like I don't need we don't have to talk. Like I'm not pressed about you or like I don't need to talk to you. And not to sound like
Yeah, you made it kind of sound a little
not like that.
interesting.
Not like that. I was just saying I had no interest in you outside of friendships, and if you wanted to hang up, like you can hang up.
Right. So that it was just a mutual understanding. Like, hey, we'll talk, but it's not really a thing if we don't talk. Like it's whatever. But because we are bro and sis, it really wasn't that type of relationship, anyways. So I want to say, as soon as we established that and we kind of had those awkward, got that out the way, we actually started to talk more. And I think I was talking about Mr. Potential one day, and I was like, yeah, this is how I feel about him, this and that. And he was like, I don't think you need to date anyone. I think you need to be single. And I was like, what do you mean? Like, I am single and I can do what I want type of thing. And he was like, no, I think you should stay single because you think, your bro kind of has unspoken feelings. And I think you need to stay single because you never know what that will turn into.
I never said that. I said that. No, I've never said your bro has unspoken feelings. That doesn't even sound like something I'll say. I used to never say anything to where she could do that and say, well, you said that you have, like, I would never
You
say
guys,
that.
I have the text messages to prove it, so hit
cool.
me up.
That's cool. I never said, I would never say that. That was not part of my
What would you say?
My regimen.
What would you say?
I would say something like, yeah, like you never know who's around the corner or something. I might have said something similar, but I never hinted at me. I hinted at me, but I never said your bro has feelings. Like I would never say that. I would say, oh well, and it's been so long that I've been
He's supposed to make something
think
up.
like this because I've been married. It's been so long, but I would say something like, yeah, I do remember saying you should stay single. Like, you definitely should stay single because you just don't know what could happen. Like, the person might be right in front of you. You just never know. Like, and I would say something like that, but it would never be like me. I could be talking about anybody. Like, and I thought where we were at proved that I wasn't worried about me. Like, it wasn't about that. So
He's making stuff up.
So that's that situation. And towards, it being closer to my gig, we had started talking way more. We had started
way
talking more. On the phone.
It got to the point where we're literally sending essays back and forth to each other. And I think that is how we got to the phone call. We started talking so much that I couldn't put my phone down. I'm over here trying to do like X, Y, and Z for my mom and help her and go to work and stuff. And I'm sending essays back to this guy who's supposed to be my bro, but underlining like in the back of our minds is kind of starting to grow into something more. And I want to say it was one night that we got on the phone, because now it's like we're texting way too much. Like, he's supposed to be working, but he's pausing with the kids trying to like send this paragraph and essay back to me, and I'm sitting here like, you know what, let's finally just talk on the phone. So by the time we get on the phone, we have so much to talk about, as if we didn't send essays to each other like all day.
Right.
And by this time it's like 12 o'clock. And I think when we got on the phone it was 6. But during this duration we had so many topics. Like, it was one of those phone calls that you're in different positions the entire time. Like, you're sitting up, then you're laying down, then you're holding the phone with like your hand, then you're holding it with your shoulder. Like, different positions. This was like literally the best phone call, like, conversation I've had in my life. And we were just hitting everything that we needed to hit, and then some. So by this time, me and Trey, we're like enjoying the conversation. Then we finally get into the moment where I guess this could have ended the phone call, but it kind of got us through. And by that, I mean Trey had this really just pet peeve that I really just have. He had this exact thing that I was walking away from in every single guy. And that is...
You talking about me smoking weed?
Yes.
So I used to smoke Periodically.
For leisure.
Right. It wasn't a thing. It was just something to do. But I did smoke a lot.
Leisure is playing football, playing videos, writing, reading a book. Smoking is not a leisure activity.
It was for me.
And that's my point.
It is for a lot of people, actually. But I just, you know, that's what I did. I smoked. And it was a very, it was just a habit. Just a habit I had of just doing it, and I loved it. Like, I was cool. I was smacked during the conversation. Like, and I completely, like, was fine. I don't think she knew that I was high.
I didn't know because we
So
were
I had to
on the phone. We weren't on
her.
FaceTime.
Yeah, but even if you saw my eyes, you wouldn't be able to tell. I had to tell her when I was high, and I was just being honest. Like, yeah, I smoked, whatever. And she had came back with, oh, that's like a big no.
Because I have so many friends that do, and they just get their lives just ruined or messed up. Because one, you're not paying your bills if you're buying that. You're not focused if you're buying that. And a lot of people say, oh, we are.
That's not
You're
true.
not. Because there's
true.
so much that you're struggling with, and you can't, like, get your life together because you're addicted. And I've had so many people addicted that it was just a big dagger for me, and it just allowed me to walk away from a lot of people that, you know, obviously didn't make the cut.
Smoking cigarettes is something she's talking about. I'm talking about weed. It's not an addictive drug, but it was something I just did a lot, and so that kind of came up. So we were talking about just why not. I mean, biblical stances on it, just everything possible. And she was just like, yeah, like, no, I don't really rock with that. And she kind of brought up me being addicted, like that whole thing. Mm-hmm. And so I'm like, there's no way that anything would ever have that type of control over me. Like, absolutely not. Like, and so she was like, oh, okay, well, you know, oh, well, we'll see kind of thing. And I was like, all right, I'll stop right now. Like, I'll stop tonight. And she was like, okay, well, like, we'll see. And like, in my mind, I was just so sold on, like, all right, then I'm done.
Yeah, and I think by the end of the conversation, obviously we didn't come to an agreement. We were just like, okay, well, this is what's going to happen. But because we weren't also romantically looking at each other and weren't involved, like, it wasn't something that would have mattered anyways.
Yeah,
like,
it would have just been...
He's my bro. If he does it, he does it. If he doesn't, it's whatever.
Right.
So I want to say, because of that conversation, Trey started to feel some type of way. Has never had a girl in his life not agree with him. And so that kind of moment kind of opened kind of a something else for Trey, because I was the first girl who's ever been like, no, I'm not rocking with that. Like, usually his past girls would be like, okay, like, yeah, like, I'm okay for smoking. And I was like,
and they
yeah,
secretly
no.
would hate it. And they would just be like, okay.
But voice your hate, because you never know what's going to happen.
Anyway, so I had came to that thing, and it was more like a competitiveness that, like, filled up in me. That was like, she's not going to, like, win and think that I just need to smoke. Which is how it started. Mm-hmm. And
so the very next day, somebody hit him up to smoke, and he was like, hey,
it's time to smoke.
It's time to smoke. And he hit me up like, hey, somebody asked me, and I didn't. And I was like, okay.
That was a big deal. Let's just say it was a big deal.
What's that got to do with me? Type of thing. And so over, like, the whole week, he would hit me up, hey, they offered me again, and I said no. And then I was like, okay, like, this must mean something to him.
Got off the phone. You know, I know for me, like, I started praying, and did we pray together at that point?
We did. Me and Trey would pray every night together. Like, before we got off the phone, we would pray. And I think...
Yeah, we did. I think we did.
That is what really attracted me, because he'd be like, okay, let's pray. And I'd be like, okay. And he would be like, I didn't think you were going to agree, because a lot of people be like, okay, let's pray, and then get all, like, stuttery and start getting, like, nervous. And I was like, no, like, let's pray. So he was like, okay, great. So we would literally do that. It was like a tradition for us to get off the phone. We'd pray together.
Yeah, it was a thing. I forgot about that.
Man, that seems so long ago. So that's kind of like what jump-started a lot for us spiritually. Like, then he would kind of, like, encourage me, hey, let's read this, let's read that type of thing. So I think when we got off the phone, I was so heavy in journaling that I got off the phone and I started crying. And I was like, God, is he the one? During the phone call, I heard God say, he's your husband. And when you're trying to hear God, like, you'll know it wasn't a voice in my head. You'll know when you hear God, and that's the moment I had. So he was talking about this and that. I heard God say he's your husband. And I was like, really? Yeah? Are you sure? So when I got off the phone, it was kind of like a confirmation for me, because everything he was saying was aligning with everything I wanted to do in my life and everything that I wanted in a husband and wanted as a husband and a father one day. And I was just like, God, like, I don't know what to do with all of this energy and all of this excitement. So I started crying, and I cried and journaled like, God, if this is for me, I pray for it. If it's not for me, remove it from my life. And I wasn't exactly sure where it would take me, but I just knew I needed to write this moment down because I knew it was going to come back up for a purpose. And so I think when I finished journaling, Trey had no idea. It was right after we got off the phone. And then I think we talked the next day, and it was kind of like we were tiptoeing, but still having a conversation throughout the day.
Right, because for me, after we got off the phone, I prayed, did my whole nightly situation, and I was like, just praying, and I kept, like, I heard, like, I didn't hear that's your wife, like, I just heard, like, she's your, like, oh, I guess I did hear, she's your wife, but it was like, it was weird, and it spooked me, because I don't know what that meant. I didn't know, I thought I was tripping, and I thought it was me, like, just being gassed up, but I didn't view her like that, so it was confusing. Very, very confusing time. To the point where I thought I was crazy. I thought I was tripping. And I thought it was just me developing feelings, and I just swept it down, because that was something that was very, foreign, especially where I was at. I was living a single life. And so for me to hear wife, like, I'm like, what are we saying?
And this is the same guy that would not commit at all for years.
After my last relationship, I never committed, and that was like, my last relationship was like 7 years ago, where I actually made somebody like official. Like, ever since then, like, I knew my next one had to be
his wife. And so because of that, I already kind of knew, like, this is not the guy for me, because he's never going to commit. He's going to be a bachelor for the rest of his life. So that's why I was so like, God, is he? Are you sure? Are you sure? Because we're long distance. He's 7 hours away. He's in Virginia. I'm in Georgia. This got to be like a real thing, because I do not want to be heartbroken. Right. And so
that night we get on the phone and we're talking. It might have been like a day or two later, and we get on the phone, and we did our normal talk, whatever. Probably talked for like 2 hours, whatever, chill. It was like, and at the end of the conversation, Trinity had brought up just this wedding that I was supposed to play at, that one of her best friends was supposed to, was going to have, and I was like, oh yeah, so da-da-da-da, and she was like, well, hey, like, why don't we just go together, like, why don't you be my date, since you got to be there anyway, like, we can just go together, not like on a relationship type time, but just as like,
bro and sis.
Yeah, bro and sis. So I was like, okay, cool, but I kind of was like, trying to play like, well, how do you even know, like, we'll even be around each other or know each other by that time? Like, it could be whatever. And she kind of played it back like, yeah, whatever. I don't know what happened, but it kind of got back thrown on me, like, yeah, well, how do you know, like, how do you know that we'll be around? And I was like, I said something like, this is a forever thing, and she was like, well, how do you know? You're stupid. She was like, how do you know? I said, and then I got mad nervous. Like, I was like, man, what you mean? Like, and I thought she was just gonna sweep it, but she kind of held on to that. Like,
you already knew I was pressing that. When the guy says it's a forever thing, girls, you better press it until you.
Don't say it if it's not a for sure thing. Cause she pressed it, and I was like, man, I was stuttering, didn't know what to say.
He was so nervous.
Super nervous.
And I was like, just take a leap of faith.
Right.
Like, just take a leap of faith.
And so I was like, God told me, like, and I just felt super weird. I felt just, man, like, what am I saying? But whatever, I said it. God told me. And so we ended up something. I forget what happened after that, but she was like, wow, something. We get off the phone, she sends me a picture of her journal from 2 days before. It's like she was praying about me being her husband and about us being together and about just me being somebody for her. And I just was like, wow, like, what the heck? Like, and so I called her back and I was like, yo, I said, I got the message, but just read it to me. Like, and she's like, what?
He was acting like he couldn't see, like, hey, it's not clear.
It was cursive. It was something weird. Like, come on. Like I said, just read it to me. Like, and she was like, I think she ended up reading it or whatever. And we had just talked about what it looks like moving forward. Like, what do we? I don't want the same old. I don't want to mess this up.
Yeah.
So what does it look like that we move forward? And she was like, well, why don't we do it fast?
Oh, because when I got off the phone with him, when I got off the phone with him, I ended up going to ask my mom the next day, like, Mom, like, how do you know you found the one? So she said, you know, the typical, well, this is how I met your father conversation. And I said, this is not what I asked for. But through her story, I was able to kind of put stuff together and say, okay, well, this is how I will know if he's the one. And so she said, why don't y'all go do a fast? And she was like, do a 6-month fast and then see where y'all are. I said,
Absolutely
6 months?
not.
Oh, what? Goodbye. So I said, no, we're not doing that. So me and Trey kind of came up to an agreement, and he was like, let's do a week fast. And by this time, like, I was like, a week fast, I don't know, like, it's going to be so long. Like, we don't have to do the fast. Maybe, like, we'll get past this. Like, I think we're serious about each other. So we kind of talked to each other for a minute, and we agreed, like, we should do this fast.
Right.
And so by this time, like, we prayed together, and we're like, okay, well, have a good week. Don't be trying to do nothing because I'll know about it. We kind of like, you know, like, I'm watching you type of thing. During that time, as soon as we agreed, like, this is what we're going to do, we hang up the phone, and at midnight, the fast started. The very next day, I wake up, my mom's talking about, hey, we're going to Texas. I said, for what? My mom's like, oh, well, your aunt passed away. Even though I already knew she passed away like 2 weeks prior or a week prior, she was like, but we're going to have her funeral this week, and we're not going to be back until Sunday. Yeah.
Because the whole thing was we were going to end the fast with me being in Atlanta. I had an event that I had to play at, so we were going to end it like that. I get to see you, we get to hang out, we get to, you know, do stuff on our bucket list that we had talked about us doing. And so the only way we could really see what each other was doing was through social media, because we weren't talking, and we didn't go as far as like blocking each other or anything like that. Like, that's too much. But we were just like, yo, like, we'll just not talk, don't communicate regardless, no matter what. And so I'm looking, she's in the car, like, I'm seeing all these snaps. I'm like, yo, like, what's going on? Like, she gets to Texas in the hotel, and she's taking videos of the room. I can get used to this, all this type of stuff. I'm looking like, yo. So I'm thinking, all right, you know, and I'm trying to give her the benefit of the doubt. Maybe something happened, like maybe, you know, I don't know what happened. So all this stuff's coming into my mind. She never actually says what she was there for. So I'm like, okay. So the end of the week comes, and by the way, sidebar, by the way, if this ever happens to anybody and you are doing it fast, or you're trying to like work something out where you're not talking and you're only, maybe social media is your only venue, then yo, let them know. I told her, I said, you could have took a picture of the order service. You could have did something. Rest in peace, Auntie. You know, so glad to see my family.
Gosh.
So glad to see my family here. Something to let me know that it's not just you bugging over what we had just agreed about, and it's 4 days into the fast, and now I'm. How
you gonna take a picture of the order of service? That is so. It's my auntie. This is my aunt who passed away. This isn't just some random person on the street. And I think that's the thing that Trey did not actually like understand.
Whatever. So she was like, and rest in peace, but she you know, she wasn't right. Like, Trinity could have handled that better, in my opinion. You know. Let us know in the comments. Let us know in the comments
and say, hey, my aunt passed away. I don't do that. I'm a very private person.
Let us know in the comments if I'm right, or if she's right.
He is trash.
I think that, you know what I'm saying, she could have done a better job. Then besides, the last thing she said was, oh, I'm enjoying this hotel. Like, what are we talking about? She could have been family vacation. We don't know what happened. So that's one. So bottom line is, ended the fast. After not talking for a week, I was kind of like upset. So I was like, yo, I said, hey, what's up? And she was like, wow, that's all you're going to send to me?
Pissed. I said, hey, what's up? I said, we have not talked in a week. We went from texting each other essays to the messages you got to click open. And you're going to say, hey, what's up? I said, no. We going to do this again. Because I have wrote a poem. I wrote a poem for this guy. And he texted me saying, hey, what's up?
It's not about the text. It's the fact that I texted you at all. And I wanted to talk after the fast. But, so, we kind of ended the fast. And she explained to me what happened. I understood. And because of her situation, like, I wasn't going to see her when I was down there. So, it was disappointing. But I was pretty much like, no, like, I'm going to see you. Like, that's not an option. So, she was like, well, when, da-da-da, like, you're about to go back? I said, well, I'm going to come back next weekend.
Because I was also heartbroken because I really was looking forward to seeing this guy because I knew we had something special. And the fact that he even texted me after this fast, like this week fast, he could have been doing anything. But the fact that as soon as like for Cinderella, the clock struck 12 midnight, like as soon as it happened, like 6 minutes later, he hit me up because he was kind of pissed. But it's like something that you look forward to. And I was looking forward to seeing him, and I was literally so sick. I even tried to opt out of going to Texas, going to the funeral. My mom was like, why would you do that? Why would you say that? And
nah,
I said,
you definitely should have went to the funeral. Like,
I'm like,
sure.
Mama,
but,
I mean, she kind of already, like, passed away.
Chill, you're buddy. But, so it meant so much to both of us that I was like, you know what, whatever. And that drive was trash. Virginia to Georgia was terrible, but I was like, you know what, like, it's worth it.
Trey was gonna come up and surprise me a day earlier, so he was gonna leave Friday and drive through the night to be there, I think Saturday morning, or was it Thursday?
Yeah, it was like something weird.
Thursday. He was gonna be there Friday, point blank period. So because I was there and I think there was no way for him to get around, he was like, you know what, forget it, I'm not gonna be there, and that's what's going to happen. So when he told me his plan, I felt so bad, but I was like, you know what, I'm here for a funeral. And then he was just like, you know, it's okay. You're there for a funeral. I'm not tripping.
Right.
So
I decided to come back the next week, got in my car, gassed up, and just drove down to go see her.
Man.
Because we ended the fast.
Ended the fast. I told my parents, I was like, hey, like, when he comes, I want you guys to meet him because I'm a family person. So it's like, if you don't kind of get on the good grace with my parents and with my family, then I can't date you. So Trey meant so much to me that I told my parents, like, hey, he's coming. And you guys will meet him and you guys will love him because he is my husband. And they were like, you mean boyfriend? And you're going to get to that point yet. They said friend until we got engaged. And I said, no, like, he's my husband. So then I want to say that Trey made the arrangements and he literally came the next weekend. And he drove 7 hours by himself, has never done that before, struggled the whole time.
That's not true. I think my record is probably like 10.
No. He struggled the whole time, but I think it was worth it because when Trey finally came, like, it was one of those things that you're both kind of just so excited for. And when he came, we had a whole day that we spent in Atlantic Station, like downtown Atlanta.
Spent a lot of money.
He did spend a lot of money. He did. So when you're dating someone, just when you're impressing them for the very first time, do not try to go all out.
Keep it simple, man. Trust me. Keep it simple. I was doing too much.
I felt like he had $1 million the way he was spending money. And then he got back and he was like trying to calculate.
I spent too
he
much money.
He was trying to calculate how he was going to have.
I spent too much money. That's the point. The point is that don't go try to ball out. I know some of my brothers had to tell them like, yo, don't do it. Like, bro, I'm telling you, bro, it's gonna be worth it in the end.
When the girl likes you, it doesn't matter what you guys do. Like, you do not have to try to pretend you are Denzel Washington. Because a boy got back, he was calculating. But anyways, stop. No.
Because, all right, so we had an amazing weekend. I was able to meet her family. Ended up going to church with them.
Came to church with me.
And
but we skipped. We skipped a part.
Oh, rewind.
That night, so Saturday night, we spent this whole day together, and it was just wonderful. The whole day, he was like, you know, like, I'm gonna give you some time. Like, I want to ask you to be my girlfriend in person since we're long distance. But I want to give you time you need.
Right.
And I'm sitting here like, you know what, I'm ready whenever you are. Like, just let me know. And he was like, nah, like, I want it to be special. I want it to be perfect. So I was like, whatever. So the whole day in the back of my mind, I'm like, he's going to ask me to be his girlfriend. Like, he just has to before he leaves, because who knows when we're going to see each other again. So he was kind of type nervous the whole time, like kept looking at me, peering at me from the corner of his eyes, like every time we were doing something to see like if I was having fun, enjoying it, and I was. So that night we went swimming, and it was the most beautiful scene, literally, that I felt like I was in a movie. And we're floating around, and we're literally like the only people at the pool, because like they had a little few families there, but not too many people were like out. And I guess everyone was asleep, or they were out in the city. And so we're floating around, and I was like, how do you feel? And I was literally back at pressing him, because this boy will not open up. He gets so nervous. And I was like, how do you feel?
Alright, that's not, I don't get nervous. I do get nervous, but it's not like, she's trying to make me sound like.
The boy be stuttering.
That was like once.
No, you stuttered in the pool. I said, how do you feel? He said,
I don't talk about that. I didn't know how to dial into that.
I said, just tell me, just take a leap of faith. He's like, here you go again. I said, yeah, take a leap of faith. So he said, okay, like, I'm in love with you. And he had that look where he was like, I'm in love with you. I said, yeah. He said, yeah, I love you, Trinity.
I said, I think.
No. He said, I love you.
Right,
so I said, oh yeah, I love you too. And so that's what happened. Like, I told him I loved him. He said, I love you. He said, well, you know what? Like, it's crazy, but...
I just couldn't believe I was saying that. And this was not after that much time. Like, and I just was so... I haven't said that to anybody in years at this point. So, like, for me to even think that, or for that to come up, was like... I really thought I was crazy. Like, I couldn't even tell people, because I felt like they would be like, yo, you're tripping. Like, but that just also goes to say, like, you can't always listen to everybody else. Like, you can't always, you know what I'm saying? Some stuff is just for you and God, like, to figure out. True. Like, you can't listen to everybody else, because somebody else might have told me I was tripping, and I could have messed up my whole situation.
The whole thing, our whole destiny could have changed. Because
I listened to so-and-so say that you're tripping because they were tripping, or that's not what they would do. And at the time, if I was talking to myself, like another version of me, I probably would have told myself I was tripping. But I just...
He literally just... He spoke it. So when he spoke it, man, I literally was feeling the exact same way. And the crazy part is, this had been after 3 weeks of talking, after the fast. And I literally knew I loved him way before we even exchanged I love you. So I was really just waiting. I was that girl. I was waiting for him to say it first, because I didn't want to say I love you and then it not be a thing that's reciprocated.
Right.
And so I was just really waiting, because I usually don't really get the kind of ending I guess I was hoping for. And so I didn't want to just be embarrassed, I guess. I don't know what was going through my mind, but I was not going to be the one that said it first. So when he said it, he was like, yeah, so, like, will you be my girlfriend? And I literally almost started crying in the pool. I was like, yes, I will. So that is how we started dating. And that is really what started our courtship. Did I miss anything?
Nope.
So if you guys have enjoyed this video and you want to see our courting tips and how we started courting and like what we did during our courting.
Yeah, courting and marriage counseling could be another video. I don't know.
Yeah. So let us know what you guys hope to see. Give this video a like, thumbs up if you have enjoyed it. Make sure you comment below what you hope to see next. If you guys love seeing my husband, if we should make a channel, or if we could just keep having like features, let me know. And I want to say, if you're not already following me and you have enjoyed this video, make sure you click subscribe so you don't miss anything. And yeah, that's it. So, bye guys.
Bye.
Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. If you don't already know, my name is Trinicia Bradley. I go by Triniciera. If you're not already, make sure you subscribe to this channel so you don't miss anything, you know, coming up. Let me just do it again. No!
I gotta make sure it looks okay. Stop. Go ahead.
Trey.
Go ahead. Alright, go ahead.
See, you already looked.
So are you though.
Stop.
No, you're looking at it too. You're looking at it too.
No.
Chill. You're looking at it just like I am. I'm looking at the screen.
Trey, no, because if you look over there, I'm going to be pissed.
Okay, I'm good.
No,
I'm good. Stop.
Trey.
Alright. Go ahead. Look at you.
I'm serious. Are you going to be
I'm
okay?
good.
Trey, because I promise you,